my idea is for me to just tackle the issues of freedom of religion in the media, especially the religious freedom as we talk about it today in time of the Black Lives Matter, and question if the media is still relevant to our fight against racism, bigotry, and other human rights intersections. I want to first insist in a couple of things, and one is just to be clear that what I mean when I say the media, I'm talking about all the medias that are really writing and researching and speaking about, on behalf, and for. So the conversation we can start it with the killing of George Floyd and wonder how the media has used that issue and how it has brought in all the intersectional issues of religion, of race, of gender, and sex and sexuality, and so on and so on. However, for people like me, we know that this conversation about freedom of religion goes all the way back to the beginning of the world. We know that in the major books, religious books, we know already how human rights is being treated there and how people like us have been described in those religious books. Many of you know what those books are talking about Black people, for example, and how they created the dissension between Noah and his children and decided that the base element is the Black people. So that's why when we talk about freedom and any freedom, I want to just be specific and say that when we talk about Black Lives Matter as the beginning of this conversation, it should dominate over all life matter conversation. Not because we don't believe that all life matters, but we believe that right now the conversation is about Black lives. And when I talk about Black life, I'm talking about all the BIPOCs. I'm talking about Black, Indigenous, and all people of color. And how these groups are also seen when we talk about religious freedom. One key thing I want to say is that oftentimes people want to engage in this conversation, and I will just quickly say it is a wrong conversation and it is a misplaced sense of equivalence when we talk about life and Black life, and then we bring in the middle human right and religious freedom. Because I can tell you the human rights compendium itself, how it looked and treated as people, especially BIPOC and Black people, is a question that is still out there and the jury hasn't finished debating it. Racism, as I will say, when we talk about Black Lives Matter and our experiences, I want to just say that racism is a set of mistaken assumptions, opinion and actions that result from the belief that one group of people are categorized by color, one group of people categorized by their color is superior to another. And this is a definition we all agree on. However, my question is the media part of the solution or the problems of religious freedom and racism that come with it? According to Dr. Minal Mahtani, and I worked with Dr. Mahtani in this research project in 2009, looking at the impact of media on ethnocultural groups in Vancouver, Canada, after September 11. According to Mahtani, negative media representation of racial minorities in Canada, for example, is very real, intense, and the local nature of racial marginalization that mainstream media representation can and often do generate an effect. So talking about religious freedom without talking about the media will be a miscalculation of the whole thing. Karim and Eid also added that this unfortunate association, for example, in the case of Muslim, with extremes, especially through constant media usage of the term Islamic terrorists, Islamic extremists, and Islamic radical has consequences in behavior of officials and others who systematically discriminate against Muslims. So in conclusion, what I want to say is that religious freedom can't happen when already some religions are essentialized compared to others. When we have Islamophobia that is justified in some religion, and that we don't really go back to the text, to the origin, and see what is there. We need to do a re-editing of this text in order for us to ensure religious freedom. Otherwise, generation to come will still behave and treat other religious groups as minority, but most importantly, as the enemy. Does human rights matters? Yes, but we really need to refocus this talk and have courageous and critical conversation, especially to talk about religion as not ideology, not just as policy, but most importantly, as cultural ideology. So I want to just leave it here because my time is up. But one thing I want to just remind all of us is we need to continue this conversation. Human rights is worth the fight. But as I say, it is worth the fight if really we deconstruct the fight for who and who is going to lose that fight.